So today we're doing a reaction. We're reacting to Mr. Nightmare. It is the Halloween season, so might as well do some scary reactions, some spooky, scary reactions. And what better way to do it than watching a Mr. Nightmare Halloween themed video? And this one right here looks most appeasing to me with that thumbnail, dude. That looks scary. True stories of haunted house attractions gone wrong. That piques my interest. Let's just dive right into it. I was at a haunted house one time in my life, back in 2013. I want to go again. I should go this year.
For only 2 years, there was this pop-up haunted house attraction that would open in October. It was unofficially called Haunted Hill House, because there was some sign that looked like it was bought from Party City or something that was propped in front by the parking lot, and it said Haunted Hill House.
I love this house. This house is nice.
A parking lot at all. Just
house is huge.
Designated as a parking area. This was the year they closed down, and this was the year my friends and I went. I went with Matt, Michael, and Eddie. We went on a Thursday night because we were in college and all of us had Fridays off, so it was definitely quieter than it would have been on a weekend. There was surprisingly no line for the ticket stand, and when we followed the directions to the entrance, there was only a really short...
That'd be kind of eerie. No line for a ticket stand. I mean, most people would just pass it off as nothing, but me, man, I'd be like, what's going on here, you know? I'm sure other people are like that too, and these are true stories, mind you, according to this guy. I believe him that these are true stories because these aren't like ghost stories or anything. I assume these are stories about actual like people attacking other people or like crimes or whatever. These aren't ghost stories, so these are real, I assume.
People ahead of me. What we didn't realize though is that they were only letting one person in at a time. We had no idea that was part of this haunted house.
I'd still go, actually.
To make it scarier, we shoved Michael in front to go first. I was second to last before Eddie. Every couple of minutes, they would tell the next person to go in.
Imagine like they don't come out, like your friends just don't come out. I wouldn't go in.
I was a little kid and I was with my family. Then it was my turn to go in, as this woman dressed in some bloodied costume opened the door and told me to enter. I stepped through the door.
It's real blood. It's real blood.
I was in this dark building, lit up mainly by small flashing lights. As I walked through, I was faced with a bunch of gruesome props of mutilated dead corpses and other pretty horrific things. Once in a while, actors dressed in horrific costumes would jump from around corners or through little holes in the walls. And just about every single time they got me, because I'd jump.
Okay, I'd jump there. That dude popped around that corner. I would have jumped.
Separating two rooms.
That dude literally popped around that corner. Look. Yeah.
I was in some dark hallway separating
Not done, but like, I would jump.
On me from behind. I let out a short scream as I turned, and in the darkness, I could see a tall figure in front of me. I laughed after seeing it, then something I wasn't expecting happened next. The actor started pushing me down this dark hallway.
Ooh.
I could hardly see anything. I was going along with it, thinking this was part of the attraction. I don't remember how long exactly I was allowing this actor to push me in the darkness, but eventually he stopped, and I heard a door close, and things went silent.
Heck no.
I didn't know what was happening. I still thought this was part of the act.
I wouldn't.
I was definitely scared because it was pitch black. Then I felt hands grabbing me, but in a very weird way, not in a way that a haunted house actor should.
Okay.
I was being full on grabbed, and so I pushed the person off and said, "Get the fuck off me, dude."
Ooh.
I stood there in silence.
Nah, I'd start throwing punches. I'm starting to throw haymakers. No, I'm punching that person.
I said, "You're going too far, man. You can't touch people like that," thinking this was still just part of the haunted house act. I waited there, expecting the actor to progress me to the next part of the attraction or just do something, but nothing was happening. Enough time passed now that I knew this wasn't right, and so I took out my phone, even though they told us not to take our phones out at any time during the attraction. I turned on the flashlight and found myself in a storage room with props and janitorial equipment. But I'd be lying if I said that was the first thing I noticed. The first thing that caught my attention was the tall man, standing 3 or 4 feet away from me. He didn't look like an actor at all. He wasn't wearing a costume. He was just wearing all black with a black face mask covering half his face. I looked for the door as I said, "What are you doing, dude?" He didn't say anything. He just started making these motions with his arms as if he was acting like he was supposed to be a character. I found the door and left the room. I used my phone flashlight to navigate back down the dark hall the direction we came. When I found the next actor, who yelled at me to turn off my flashlight, I told them I was violated and assaulted by somebody who may or may not work for the attraction, and I wanted to get out of there.
I would say
I
that
told the
too.
actor was probably just some teenager not much younger than me, and he didn't know what to do really. He dropped his character act and told me to just keep walking that way and that I'm almost to the end. I asked where his boss would be. He said I'd have to go back to the ticket stand, as the little manager's office is attached to the ticket stand. So I continued the rest of the haunted house, speed walking, making it clear I was just trying to get out. And a few
Yeah,
minutes later,
at that point, I would want to get out of there, honestly. I wouldn't want to be there any
my
longer.
friends, who were confused how I ended up getting out last. I told them what happened, and then we all went to the ticket stand, and I asked for the manager. The worker said that he wasn't there tonight, but that he'd be back tomorrow. I told the worker about what happened, and she said she would alert the team about it. I requested my money back because of it, and she gave me back my 30. It was the next day that a girl from our college who we all knew posted on Facebook that she was sexually assaulted by someone in the same haunted house the night before.
Wow.
The night we were also there.
Oh wow, this is a real post. Wow. Okay, they blurred out the name, which is good. So this happened 2 years ago then. Huh. That's interesting.
This was the reason the place was eventually shut down that month.
I mean, yeah, how does something like this happen? How does something like that, does person who paid to go to the haunted house just stayed there, I guess? Or did someone, I don't know.
When I reached out to her on Facebook, it sounded like we had the same exact experience, only the aggressor got a lot more physical with her. She pressed charges on the owner of the attraction for, I'm assuming, negligence. The attraction staff, of course, swore that that man who assaulted the two of us didn't actually work there. I'm sure that's the truth, but I don't understand how they didn't have proper security measures in place to prevent something like this from happening.
Exactly. I would press charges too in a minute. Got it. Story. Okay. Story 2.
This was the first and last time I ever went to a haunted house attraction. I live in Fort Worth, Texas, and every year there's this big haunted house attraction that opens up. A few of my friends wanted to go this year, and I figured it's time I just finally experience a haunted house. For a little early context, I had a very troubled childhood that's caused me to develop PTSD, but I'll get more into that later. It was a weekend, so nobody wanted to go into this sober. My
Can I
friend
just
Noah
say
was
I
the
love
little-
this patio? This patio or whatever is a freaking amazing patio. You got the grill in the back, could have a nice family or friend cookout. Nice view of the night sky. Those lights, I love those lights, dude. This is like the perfect patio for me, honestly. The flowers, the candles, that candle in the middle there where my cursor is. I just love this patio. It's amazing. The chairs are nice. Just everything about this patio suits me. The view of the neighbors, and so I mean, view of the neighbors isn't really good because like other people could see on your patio and see what you're doing, which is kind of uncomfortable for me. I'd like a lot of privacy when it comes to the house I'm living in, but still this patio is like a 9 out of 10.
Pregame for all of us. It was going to be 6 of us, my 3 guy friends and 2 of their girlfriends. We all smoked and drank in Noah's backyard, everyone thinking it would make the experience more fun. We bought our tickets for the attraction on their website while we were pre-gaming. I rarely ever smoked weed because it makes me kind of paranoid, but I guess tonight I wanted to try smoking again and see if I could overcome that barrier. And I felt good actually. I think the mix of alcohol and weed kind of canceled out the usual negative thoughts I would have from just smoking alone. Eventually, we called an Uber to the attraction, which was like 20 minutes away from Noah's house. There was a half-hour line. The place was pretty busy. We made friendly with the people in line ahead of us. I was pretty cross-faded, honestly, but I wasn't gone. Like, I remember just about everything that happened. When we got to the front, I started feeling a bit woozy, but I didn't say anything to my friends. We entered the haunted house, and from the start, there was a lot
Does he
of
throw up in the haunted house and that's the story?
Were really good.
The first time I went to a haunted house, I got sick and I threw up in it. That's the last time I ever went to a haunted house. Is that what's gonna happen here?
But intense, and it was starting to give me anxiety. I was starting to realize how not okay I was, and how much of a mistake getting high was. One of the haunted house actors must have realized how scared and quiet I looked, and and he chose to get in my face trying to scare me, yelling and making noises.
That sounds like something I would do, honestly, if I was working in a haunted house. That sounds like something I would do. But then again, if it happened to me, I would probably hate it at first. Then later that night, I'd be like, that was hilarious. I was feeling sick in a haunted house, and this dude who worked there came up and made it worse. I hated that at the time, but now that's hilarious. That's what I would think. I'd hate it at first, and I would think it's hilarious after. But yeah, I'd totally do something like that, honestly.
To internally freak out, but I was trying to keep it together in front of my friends. This haunted house was going on for what felt like forever, and in my condition, every single jump scare made me almost shit my pants. All the flashing lights and fog really made this whole experience even more trippy and surreal. We came to this room lit up with an eerie red glow, with a bloodied man dressed as a guy in a suit and top hat yelling at us, part of the act. But behind him, in the corner of the room, was a guy who wasn't dressed as anything. He was just standing there looking at me.
Heck
into my
no.
soul.
I ain't doing. I'm walking right past that person.
I let out a scream straight from my stomach as I felt every hair in my body stand up. The room went silent.
I'm getting
My friends
chills.
looked at me laughing at first, thinking I was joking around. But when they saw I was serious, one of the girls grabbed me and asked what's wrong. I said it's my dad. I pointed to the corner where there was now no one standing. I remember all my friends and the actor being confused, and everyone could tell I was not messing around. My friends knew about my troubled past. There's no one there, one of my friends said. The actor apparently asked my friends if I was okay. I was now in the middle of a full-on panic attack, yelling, I want to leave, I want to leave. Noah left with me through a side exit, and he sat with me while our friends finished the attraction. It wasn't cheap, so I wasn't going to make them all come out with me. As we sat outside the place, Noah told me I shouldn't have smoked so much, as he tried to assure me that my dad wasn't in there. I was just hallucinating. So my father used to abuse my siblings and I. I'm the oldest, so I remember the most of it. He left us and our mom one day and never came back when I was 10. My close friends know about this, to a certain extent, so I didn't have to explain to Noah. When our friends were done, they met us at a Wendy's nearby where I was just trying to eat to help calm me down. I was embarrassed, but my friends didn't judge, thankfully. Not to my face, at least. I went home earlier than everyone else. I didn't want to spoil their nights. When I got home, I knocked out right away, I guess because of how drunk and high I was. That night I was having a nightmare about the scene at the haunted house, and my father, standing in the corner of the room, he was saying, "Wake up, Charlie." And I did wake up. I woke up in my dark room in the middle of the night to see my father towering.
Oh, that scared me. I got chills, buddy. I got chills, Brody. Holy cow. That scared me. I was about to comment on the fact that the father was standing in the room, but then that image popped up, and with the noise, and that, I was like, I actually got scared there.
I woke up in my dark room in the middle of the night to see my father towering over my bed, looking down at me with his eyes open super wide. It was literally this towering 9-foot-tall version of my father, bending down with his body contorting in an impossible way. When I saw it, it took me a few seconds for me to digest what I was looking at and scream straight from my stomach again. My mom came rushing in and turned on the lights, and the apparition was gone. My heart was racing and my blood ran cold. I cried to my mom that I saw Dad. It was one of the most scarring nights of my adult life. I don't touch weed or any substances anymore besides light alcohol, and I'm never going to a haunted house attraction again after that.
So, the dad was at the haunted house. He was actually at the haunted house stalking him, and he wasn't in the room because it was just a nightmare, because his body was contorting in different ways, and it was a 9-foot tall version. Most people are not 9 foot. That's probably a nightmare. I believe that this story is true because it touches on some very sensitive subjects like child abuse and stuff. That's a very sensitive subject to a lot of people, so I assume this is real, and I'm sorry to the person that experienced this, Charlie, I think his name was. But that's freaky. That image that popped up of the towering figure, I've seen that image before on the internet, but it scared the crap out of me. I was not expecting that. I was going to comment on the fact that the father was standing in the middle of the room, but then instead that image popped up with that noise. It was just a combination of things. like immediately got chills. But on to the third and final story, because he usually does 3 stories. Yes. Oh my goodness.
While producers like me are sitting
I'm going
10 times more without touching
to
the footage.
not buy YouTube Premium, because that's YouTube Premium is a scam. I don't buy into the YouTube Premium thing. It's like 14. I forget how much it is. It used to be like $11.99 a month. It's probably gone up in price. Don't buy into it. Just watch the ads. Skip the ads. It's better than spending $15 a month for no ads. But story 3 by Anonymous. Guess they didn't want their name out on the internet. That's fair.
During COVID,
Okay, this is a top tier haunted house. Look at this. You got that freaky looking pumpkin there. Got whatever that is right there. You got a demon right there. You got another demon. Got a coffin, I assume. Got, what is that? I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that is. Looks like I don't know. It's a very cool haunted. I love that pumpkin though. That pumpkin's my favorite. I love that pumpkin.
to get a job at a local haunted house attraction.
Wait, okay, let's start over. Sorry. I got distracted.
During COVID, I thought it would be fun to get a job at a local haunted house attraction. My friend Marissa was already working there, and she told me they were looking for new actors and actresses. She pulled some strings and got me a job after I met with the owner.
Cool.
There were multiple sections to the haunted house attraction, including 3 haunted houses and the haunted corn maze. On my first day on the job, there was some slight rehearsing my character and just demonstrating my acting skills to one of the supervisors who was on duty.
I could be great. I'm great at scaring people. I could chase them, dude. I'm great at scaring people. I wait to the perfect moment. I'm great at timing, and I'm great at just scaring people. I just time it perfectly so they're not expecting it. They're walking by. I just scare them. It works almost every time. It's awesome. I'm super good at scaring people. I'd be great at a haunted house.
My role for the night was assigned to be a damsel in distress, and this meant I was going to be tied to a pole and yelling at the guests to help me as they walked past me.
Ooh, kinky.
Of course, all guests would be told
Sign
before
me
entering
up.
not to touch any of the actors or actresses, so they would know not to actually untie me when I'm screaming, "Help me." So before opening time, the supervisor/coordinator Jeremiah walked me to my post. Quite literally my post, because I'd be tied to a wooden post in the corn maze. I was honestly surprised that I actually had to be tied up and not just pretend. I asked how I
Sign
would go
me
to the
up.
bathroom and such. He said there would be
Okay.
short breaks between sessions.
Maybe.
He also said there would be another supervisor nearby if I should need anything, which made me feel a little better. Once he walked away, I was left alone. There were a bunch of sound effects and scary ambiance loops echoing through the cornfield from the maze. Pretty soon, a little air horn sounded in the distance, indicating that the attraction was open and to get into character.
Ooh.
I was nervous but excited. Since I was more so in the middle of the corn maze, it wasn't until a few minutes passed that the first guest would be passing me. I started to put on my best performance as a damsel in distress, so I screamed and fake cried, begging everyone who passed for help, saying he's coming back soon, untie me. Some people would play along and say things back, and I'd improvise responses in character. Everyone was wearing face masks because of COVID, so I couldn't see people's entire faces. Eventually, 2 male guests who looked to be in their 30s walked past looking at me, not saying a word.
Oh.
One of them slowed down as he just shot me this gaze with his big eyes that quite honestly creeped me out.
Heck no. No.
Kept walking and disappeared.
No, sorry, Bob. If I see 2 men in their 30s eyeing me up, no, I'm gonna be on watch that whole night for them people again. And if I see them, I'm running the other way.
Further into the maze. This was around the time I was starting to realize there would be long gaps between guests sometimes. I could suddenly hear someone brushing through the crops nearby. I was wondering if it was a staff member. The guests weren't supposed to stray off the path. I turned completely around and saw 2 men emerging from the crops.
It's
towards
them.
the pole I was tied to. The same 2 men from before.
No.
Something
Nope.
wasn't right. I broke character and said, "You guys can't stray off the path." And then one of them laughed under their mask. And the 2 men started speaking in some other language, I think Russian. Then one of them walked back to the path, but in the opposite direction that the guests are supposed to go. He just started standing there, keeping watch it seemed, while the other one started to inappropriately grab me.
Oh,
I knew what was happening immediately, and I started screaming bloody murder,
this
saying
is
help was part
sad
of the
that
act.
this stuff
I
happens,
called out
man.
things like I'm being assaulted, and moments later, one of the supervisors emerged, seeing if I was okay. By then, the two men had already run away. I was untied and escorted out of the maze. I called my parents, and they insisted I just leave right now.
This is awful
I left.
that this
Jeremiah
kind
and one
of stuff
the other
happens
supervisors
in
said
the
I'd be
real
paid for the
world.
night, and if I didn't want to come back,
It
they'd
haunted
own it.
houses too. Halloween season is supposed to be fun, spooky, not like this.
Understand, but to just keep them in the loop. I wish I could say it was over though. On my
Oh,
drive home,
there's
I was
more?
extra cautious to make sure I wasn't being followed.
Oh,
I noticed halfway home that the same white car was behind me the whole time. I
It's
started
them,
making
isn't
turns
it?
down random streets, and when the white car stayed behind me every single time, I knew I was being followed. I knew I had to find the nearest police precinct, so I typed in police station on Google Maps, and I started
nah,
driving.
you
to
know
it.
what I would do? I would go to a red light stop, and just try to make it so it's yellow, and go right through the yellow. They catch a red, and I lose them. That's what I would do.
Quit. They followed me the whole way until I pulled into the parking lot of the precinct. Then they kept driving. I never saw the car again. I sat in my car for 10 minutes before finally turning it back on and driving home, confirming every few seconds that I wasn't being followed. I didn't return to work at that haunted house attraction again.
I wouldn't. So that's the end of the video. Some of these subjects in this video were quite sensitive. So if any of you guys have experienced something like this, I'm so sorry. I wish you the best. Happy Halloween. Stay safe out there. If you're going to a haunted house especially. Because there could be some nut jobs out there, some weirdos, some creepos out there wanting to do some bad things in haunted houses like this. And these are true stories too, because they mention very sensitive subjects and they mention corona and stuff like that. So these are true stories, I believe. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, comment, like, and subscribe. I love you guys. Stay safe out there, especially during the Halloween season. And if you're going trick-or-treating this year, stay safe, stay close to whoever you're with, friends, family, whatever. And if you're going alone, stay safe. If I were you, I'd bring some pepper spray with you or a pocket knife, so in case some nut job tries to attack you, spray them, stab them, whatever, self-defense. Stay safe out there. I love you guys. See you in the next one. Peace out.